Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 20th, and right now we're taking a look at the infrared satellite imagery across the region. You can see the upper level low spinning across British Columbia this morning. We'll pick up some lightning strikes again across the Pacific Northwest this afternoon from this system. We'll take a look at that here coming up. And if you look out over the Pacific, you can see the next system for Monday that should bring some convection, mainly Cascades east, could even bring a band of organized thunderstorms across eastern Washington. We'll take a look at that also. Now looking here, this is yesterday morning. I'll speed ahead here and you can see the upper level low over Vancouver Island producing quite a bit of lightning here. And it kind of parks right over Vancouver Island during the afternoon hours, producing quite a bit of very many lightning strikes. You can see that activity continuing up through eastern British Columbia here as well. Produce some thunderstorms even on the east slopes of the Cascades of Oregon and Washington, as well as this monsoon moisture finally gets brought up and out of our region, kind of giving us a break from those muggy conditions for southwest BC, western Washington, western Oregon. We're dealing with some dew points well up into the 60s, close to the 70-degree mark. Nice and muggy here. SeaTac 79 yesterday, and you can see the average high is 77. Got a little bit of precipitation yesterday. We'll take all we can get, usually pretty dry at this time of year. Taking a look at Pasco yesterday, the fourth straight day, 100 plus. You can see the average high is 90. We're going to remain very warm through the end of next week as well. We'll take a look at some of those temperatures here in a moment. Looking at Spokane National Weather Service, talking about the chance of thunderstorms Monday morning. New fire starts are possible. Lightning, brief, heavy downpours, localized flooding is possible. Now, taking a look today, you can see the thunderstorm threat for the Cascades of Washington, northeast Washington, through eastern Oregon as well. Look into tomorrow, maybe some activity through eastern Oregon, but then you can see that threat reintroduced with that system coming through here on Monday. This will include eastern British Columbia as well. Now, taking a look here, yesterday nighttime European run, you can see some of this activity going across the region today, including the Cascades. Here comes our system Monday, though. Can't rule out a stray lightning strike along the Oregon coast as this approaches early Monday morning. But then you can see this activity kind of bring some precip for eastern Washington, and quite a bit of lightning is going to occur with this activity as we go through Monday morning. Now looking here, this is the European lightning flash density, and I'm just going to fly ahead here till Monday morning here. You can see maybe a thunderstorm or two approaching the Oregon coast, but then the main activity is going to be east of the Cascades across eastern Oregon, eastern Washington here through the afternoon. You can see maybe some instability popping some storms off across eastern British Columbia too, or even the Cascades through Monday afternoon and evening. Now let's take a look at the HRRR here. This is the 3-kilometer high resolution lightning flash density. You can see this thunderstorms today, eastern Oregon, eastern Washington, eastern British Columbia. That kind of wanes overnight. Picks back again, mainly areas east for Sunday afternoon and evening. And you can see maybe it brings a couple thunderstorms close to the Oregon coast. Doesn't show them getting there on the HRRR, but then you can see this activity, good agreement with the European here through northeast Oregon into eastern Washington on Monday morning. Now taking a look here, the NAM3KM. Sometimes during the winter, you'll see our systems. You'll see the low pressure system move in here. But if you take a look here, I'll scroll all the way through Monday morning. Do you notice any low pressure system? Not really. There's nothing going on there. So the system barely shows up at the surface at all. But now watch this, 10,000 feet, 700 millibars, NAM3KM. As we scroll ahead till Sunday, you can see the upper level low here spinning this cold air into the region. You can see it overspread northeast Oregon, eastern Washington. That would help destabilize the atmosphere and bring some thunderstorms to the region over there. Not unstable enough here west of the Cascades to really have much of a thunderstorm threat with this system here, though. Now taking a look at 500 millibars, let's see if you can spot the upper level low here. Oh, there it goes. Nice chunk of cold air overspreading the region here, helping to destabilize the atmosphere for mainly portions Cascades east as we go through Monday morning. Now taking a look here at the extended a little bit. This is looking at Saturday, August 27th here, early in the morning. You see the ridge that is built over the area. Now we're going to go back to where we were yesterday morning. So upper level low move through. Here comes Monday's system. You can see that bit of cold air at 18,000 feet move through the area, and quickly behind that we build this ridge here from the Pacific Ocean here across the region. It's going to warm us up mid and later next week, and then you can see this trough trying to interact with Pacific Northwest in the extended here. Now stick with me here. We'll check out another couple of models. This is the European 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. You can see it's still above average here around the region. Then Monday's system kind of puts a little bit of a dent into that. But then we quickly build that ridge and really build the heat, somewhat of a heat dome here across Pacific Northwest. But then the European shows this trough potentially cooling us down, but then building another ridge on in through the following week here. So we're going to be doing this dance between these troughs and some warmer conditions here for the next couple of weeks. It looks like on in through early September, the warmth signal is still there. Now you can see here, this is the European, the deterministic. This is the initial conditions as we know them, just let them run out. So you're going to see a lot more variability in this kind of a forecast. Now here goes Monday's system, cooling us off a bit. Ridge quickly rebuilds, warm air aloft, engulfs Pacific Northwest. Then it throws this trough down here across later on in through the weekend, or Saturday evening through the weekend. But then another ridge quickly rebuilds in its wake as well. As you can see, the Gulf of Alaska troughing continues on in through the end of August, but keeping us pretty warm here across Pacific Northwest. That's kind of the takeaway from these model runs. Now this is the GFS Ensemble mean. This is all 30 of the ensembles averaged 18,000 feet, 500 millibars. There goes Monday's system there. Quickly builds the ridge across the area here. So you see the strong troughing over the Gulf of Alaska here. And you can kind of see this ridging hanging on here through the end of August as well. The signal is there. So that's good agreement with the European. You can see the troughing and the ridging there. Now taking a look at the Tri-Cities, you'll see flirting with 100 degrees all the way through the end of next week. You can see the temperature is probably going to be dampened a bit here as that system moves through Monday, but again flirting with 100 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here for the Tri-Cities. Then you see that trough, kind of the hint of that later on in through the following weekend here before they start to warm back up again towards the end of August. Seattle, Tacoma, you can see the system kind of moving through Monday, kind of some onshore flow for Tuesday, back down around normal, but then the potential for that heat mid and later next week, and then maybe some troughing here as we go through the extended here Saturday and Sunday also. So taking a look at last night's GFS run 06Z, that starts its run about 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You'll see 6-hour precip, mean sea level pressure. I'm just going to put this into motion quickly here. And if you'll see that persistent Gulf of Alaska troughing here scheduled to be occurring over the next couple of weeks, that generally leaves us in a ridge downstream. That's why we're scheduled to be forecast to be warmer here across Pacific Northwest through early September as these storms continue to batter southeast Alaska, the south coast of Alaska, as this persistent troughing occurs. Now taking a look at a little bit wider view, here's the North Pole, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, Hawaii, Pacific Ocean, Himalayan mountains here, Africa, and Atlantic Ocean. You'll see these colder lobes of air move out over the Gulf of Alaska, and it's scheduled just to kind of sit here. And this brings us the ridging downstream across Pacific Northwest. Eventually this will start to break down and move towards Pacific Northwest. We get later into the season and the cold air builds across the northern hemisphere here, the North Pole area. And this is what people will call the polar vortex. You can look at this and call it the polar vortex. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you name it. You shouldn't be afraid of a name by anything in meteorology. Just look at the meaning, what's behind it. It's just meteorologists trying to determine where these cold lobes are trying to move. And basically there's a polar vortex in the troposphere, which is the layer of the atmosphere that we live in here, and that's where most of our weather occurs. And there's a polar vortex people will talk about in the stratosphere. We'll look at the differences of that later on into the fall and winter when we come up, but it's nothing to be afraid of either way. And notice as we put this in motion here too, this pulsing across the Himalayas here, that's just because we're measuring the temperature near the surface there on the higher terrain. You can kind of see that effect across the southwest USA there as well. And as you look here, you can imagine we're on a spinning planet. So as this cold air bunches up over the North Pole, it eventually has got to move somewhere. It breaks off and spins and moves over the Gulf of Alaska. And we get the ridging downstream when it does so. When this stuff eventually moves further east over us, we start to get these storm systems, and precipitation starts to occur over the Pacific Northwest, which can really start at any time now for us. We're getting towards September here now, so we can really start to bring in some, some systems that are much more fall-like versus summer-like at this point. But this year, it does look like we're going to stay warm and have ridging go on through the early parts of September here across Pacific Northwest. So if you guys hear the term polar vortex, do not be afraid of it. It's just a meteorologist or an atmospheric scientist trying to tell you the location of some of these lobes of cold air as they move around the planet. As a never-ending balance occurs, of course, you'll warm up more across the equator because they get more direct rays of sun there versus the polar areas, which of course get much less of that direct sunlight here, so it cools down much more. And as we go into the fall and winter months, of course, those direct rays of the sun move south of the equator, and then our northern hemisphere here will cool down much more, and this cold air will get much closer to the areas like the Pacific Northwest, and we'll get much more precipitation. We'll get windstorms, and eventually maybe start to flirt with snowfall, things of that sort. So anyway, I thought you guys might like to take a look at that. Enjoy this weather coming up here. We're probably going to be warm through the early part of September. We're going to have some more thunderstorms on Monday. We're going to have some thunderstorms going on across the region today as the upper level low is still kind of hanging around British Columbia. So then we're going to deal with that ridge in the wake of this system on Monday. That ridge is going to build. We're going to warm up again next week, then potentially cool down a little bit the weekend after, and then maybe warm up again through the end of August here. So anyway, hope you guys are enjoying these videos and get a lot of good feedback in the comments. Keep it coming. Make sure to click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys later.